Dear students, in this video, let us discuss about demand analysis. My dear students, first and foremost, we need to know what is demand or what you mean by demand. Demand for a particular commodity refers to the commodity which an individual consumer or household is willing to purchase per unit of time at a particular price. There are certain actions to create the demand. Those are desire, willingness, and purchasing power. If desire for purchasing a goods services is backed by ability and willingness to buy, then it becomes demand. So demand equals desire plus ability to buy is nothing but purchasing power plus willingness to buy. Suppose if we have desire without willingness and purchasing power, that cannot be a demand. If we have purchasing power and willingness without desire, as we say, this is not be a demand. It will not be a demand. So desire means it is a wish to purchase a goods or services. For example, a student's desire to own a sports car. Okay. For example, students desire to own a sports car. This is a desire. Or you suppose students desire to purchase something or what he wish is called desire. Next, want or willingness means desire backed by ability to buy is want or willingness. For example, if that student wins KCB and is now in a position to buy his dream sports car, then his desire becomes want. His desire becomes want. Next, purchasing power means the willingness backed by to spend, willingness to spend or willingness to spend his money on that particular product. If these things are fulfilled, that will become demand. So if that student goes ahead with his want and decides to purchase the sports car, then his want becomes demand. His want becomes demand. And the demand for particular commodity by an individual consumer or household is known as individual demand for the commodity, and summation of the individual demand is known as the market demand. Here, individual demand means demand of an individual is termed as individual demand. Market demand means it is the demand for all individuals in the market taken together. Next, demand functions. It represents the functional relationship between demand for a good and all the factors that affected the demand for that good. There are two types in demand function. One is individual demand function, second one is market demand function. Before going to market demand function, let us know about what is individual demand function. Individual demand function shows how demand by an individual is affected by different factors. Symbolically, quantity demanded x equals function of px, comma y, comma p1 up to pn minus 1 and comma t, comma a, comma ey dot ep, comma u. This is a symbolical representation of demand function, individual demand function, where qdx means quantity demanded of commodity x, quantity demanded of commodity x. F represents functional relation. Here px represents price of commodity x, y represents income of the consumer, p1 to pn represents substitute and complementary goods. It's a price of related goods. It represents price of related goods. T represents taste and preference of a consumer. A represents advertisement. Now let us discuss these determinants in brief. First one, price of commodity. It is an important determinant of demand. It is generally observed that demand rises with the fall in price and falls with rise in price, indicating an inverse relationship. Next, the price of related goods. There can be two possible causes. One is substitute goods, another one is complementary goods. Substitute goods means it is observed that with a rise in the price of substitute good, demand for the concerned good also rises and vice versa. So an increase in the price of coffee will result in an increase in demand for tea, indicating a direct relationship. Next, complementary goods means it is observed that with a rise in the price of complementary goods, the demand for the concerned good falls, and signaling an inverse relationship. It is an inverse relationship. So if price of petrol rises, then demand for cars will fall. The next function, income of the consumer. It is another important determinant of demand. With an increase in consumer's income, his demand for the normal goods increases, and that for inferior goods decreases, and vice versa. Next, taste and preference of the consumer. The consumer's demand is also influenced by fashion, habits, customs, and climates, etc. and etc. That's why it is also important function. And Last but not least, future expectations regarding availability of good. It is also affects consumers' demand. So if a consumer feels uh, that a particular good would be in the short supply in future, then he might increase his demand now, right? That's why uh, the future expectations regarding availability of goods is also influence on demand. That's why it is a determinant for demand.